Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody. I wish this was like this every fiscal court meeting, but it's good you're all here and be a part of the process. I'd like to open with prayer, and if I could get Brother Dunbar over here to open us up with prayer.
Y'all ready to get a little please? Our Father in heaven, Lord, we come before you today. Psalms chapter 133 says, "Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." And God, we just ask you today during this meeting that we would all dwell together in unity, Lord, that we will discuss the situations in the county and hope that we come to a resolution on everything. But Lord, we just thank you again for this day, for each official that's here, for the public that's come to attend. Lord, we just thank you for each and every one of them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. All right. First on the agenda, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Magistrate Skaggs, seconded by Magistrate Waddell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Everybody got to see the late bills? Okay.
I'll make Ryan up pay the bills, yeah.
Motion made by Magistrate Richardson to pay the bills, and second by Magistrate Wilson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Okay, yeah. Okay, who did the minutes?
Right here. Steve, Terry second. And the bills was,
Steve and Zach.
I'm sorry. Larry made a motion on the minute. And Steve made the motion on paying the bills, and Zach seconded. Sorry about that, y'all. I forgot my packet. Should have pulled it up. All right. Next on the agenda is the detention center report.
Okay, the average inmate population was 109, nurse visits $58.99, prescription copay $72.16, House Bill 452, had a check for $499.89. Also another one, House Bill 452, $622.67. GED program attendance, $3,366. DUI fees, $371.86. State inmate housing, $54,317.58. Social Security payment, $800. Booking fees, $1,924.74. Fee claim on the transport, $127.93. Two checks from our phone commission, $3,942.32 combined there. Canteen reimbursement, $677.09. For them collected, $3,181.56. Interest, $31.90 for a total of $69,994.69. Expenses was the difference between the expenses and the receipts was $145,755.84. We had 76 hours and 30 minutes overtime due to some training recertification we had to have, and we had two different inmates in the hospital, with one of them having surgery. So we got 45 state inmates, 7 Clinton County, 55 Russell, for a total of 107.
Make the motion, second. Motion made by Magistrate Garner, second by Magistrate Waddell. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Next up, Sheriff Folsom.
For the month of September, we had 503 calls for service. We had 48 arrests, had 9 domestics, 65 traffic stops, 13 accidents with no injuries, 8 accidents with injuries, 9 motorist assessed, 9 alarm calls, 9 animal complaints, 44 requests for a deputy. 3 shot card complaints, 13 suspicious person complaints, 23 welfare checks, 6 juvenile complaints, and 244 other calls. Had one transport to Adonta, and on to Eastern State mental health transport. Had 124 court papers served, 6 juvenile summonses, 22 criminal summonses, 78 civil summonses, 8 others, 7 subpoenas, 1 eviction, 2 EPO. We had 90 prisoner transports. Court security deputies drove 2,680 miles, had 354 vehicle inspections, 15 concealed deadly weapon permits issued for the month of September.
Motion made by Magistrate Waddell, second by Magistrate Richardson. For the sheriff's report, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Next up is the treasurer's monthly and quarterly settlement reports and pre-approved AE transfers. Y'all have those in your packet. Motion made by Magistrate Garner, second by Magistrate Wilson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right. Next is the second reading of the budget amendment ordinance 2509. Kim?
This is an ordinance relating to the fiscal year 25-26 annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the Russell County Fiscal Court has realized unbudgeted receipts from the following funds. Be it ordained by the Russell County Fiscal Court of the Commonwealth of Kentucky in Section 1, the budget of the fiscal year 25-26 is amended to increase/decrease the receipts of the following funds to include unbudgeted receipts from the opioid fund for prior year carryover in the amount of $662,505.25 in the opioid fund, and the amount of settlement funds in the amount of $101,992.27. Section B, appropriations in the opioid fund for opioid liaison, $55,000. Opioid fund for office supplies, $2,000. Opioid fund conference and training, $2,500. Opioid fund phone for $1,000. Opioid travel expense for $1,000, and opioid reserve for transfer in the amount of $702,997.52. Total amended appropriations are $764,497.52. In Section 2, the amounts adjusting the revenue accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes only. This is the second reading.
Motion made by Magistrate Garner, seconded by Magistrate Waddell. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the transfer of $20,805 from the general fund to grants for the Eli fire truck grant. This is the grant that y'all approved last month that Susan had got. It's to finish out their money, I think, that they got a major grant for to do their fire truck, and this helps hopefully get all of that. Is that correct, Marty?
Yes, sir. May I come forward?
Yes.
Yes, sir, and Court, this was the help with our matching funds for the FEMA grant we received to purchase a new tanker for the Eli Fire Department, which the total amount of the grant was $450,000. We have a 5% match on that, so it's helped us out tremendously. So the $20,805, it was through the Government Resources Accelerating Needed Transformation Grant Program. So appreciate the court voting to move forward with that, and all Ms. Melton's help getting that done and applied for and everything. So again, it helps us out tremendously. Truck's here, it's delivered. Want to extend the invitation to each and every one of you and all the citizens here in Russell County Thursday night at 5 o'clock. We're doing a dedication ceremony for that truck at the Eli Fire Station, so everyone's welcome to attend. Appreciate seeing everybody out there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
So I need a motion.
I make a motion.
Motion made by Magistrate Wilson, second by Magistrate Richardson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Next is a transfer of $375,000 from the general fund to the jail fund for operating expenses and bond payment. This is the jail payment we make once a year. So, motion made by Magistrate Garner, second by Magistrate Richardson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. I've got Cameron Tiller. You want to come up to the mic, please? Next on the agenda is the Russell Countyans against industrial solar. And if I could get Cameron to come up and start. And I think you've got, what, Some more
Well,
people?
I'll let some other people in the group go first, if that's okay.
Oh, that's fine,
If that's
however you want
okay.
to do that. Yeah.
And then we'll just let them go first.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Jonathan Hill, and I recently moved here about 2 years ago. And I've recently been aware of this solar project that's come in. And I've lived in, California. I watched all the windmills come in. I watched other solar projects that have just fallen apart because they're just not cost effective. I bought a double wide set on our property so I could build a house. Well, I really doubt that I'm going to build a house now if this project goes through. It won't be worth the money because our property value is going to go down so much because you're going to look at my kitchen window and I'm going to see the field. It's just not acceptable. We moved here because we like the countryside. We like the country. We like moving out of the city. So that's really upsetting to me to see this. On top of all that, once this goes in, this land's never going to go back to farmland. It's ruined forever. When you deal with these heavy metals, the half-life of them is hundreds and hundreds of years. Generations will be lost in this area. Not only that, is that once it goes in there, there's going to be no room for the local economy to grow. Because you couldn't develop the land to build houses. You couldn't put another factory there. That land's tied up for 20 to 80 years. There's nothing going to be built in there. And with all the money that's been coming into the country lately, I would think that this county would want to actually try and go after some of this, reinvestment money. It's billions and trillions of dollars that's coming into the country. We'll have a little spike in, the restaurants will get some business for a year. The hotel will be busy for a year. And after that, it's going to be dead. There'll be nothing, Not to mention the other local businesses, the hardware stores and so forth. They're just not going to have the business there. The other big concern I have is the BESS system, the battery energy storage systems. Man, that's a major biohazard. Those storage systems are the size of a tractor trailer. There's very few counties in this nation that have the ability to put that fire out. We're a smaller community. We don't have those kind of 2-3 hours around here. We're not going to have the ability to put out a fire. And it's going to have to be maintained over like a week because they reignite all the time. So, and when they burn, that's even worse. And this project, this Russell County project, it's only a few miles from the elementary school. And the prevailing wind is from west to east. If that goes up, what are you going to do with the kids? You let them, suck in all that smoke? That's another big problem. Not to mention some of the environmental hazards with the I-beams. They're taking I-beams and just drive them straight into the ground. There's going to be like 75,000 I-beams. That's going to ruin the aquifer. All that metal is just going to leach down into the system. That's just, you're going to ruin all the wells. It may not happen the first year, but it's going to happen the next 3 or 4 years. So you're going to have to put water systems in. People are going to have to come up with all kinds of money to filter their water just to make it safe to drink. We're not even going to talk about the runoff from it because they're going to clear most of the land, even though they're putting up these trees around it and they're going to fence it. The fence is going to ruin the wildlife passages through there. I know a lot of people around here are hunters. It's going to kill a lot of that. This is 450 acres on this current project. I just don't feel that's really acceptable. You're going to have the runoff. It's probably going to flood that whole lower area, like the Mount Olive by the church. There's going to be nothing to stop the watershed. The other concerns I have is after the 20-year lease is up or the 80-year lease, whatever it is, who's going to decommission this project? Who's going to take down those solar panels? They're already inefficient. They only worked like 18, 20%. It's not really a truly viable source of energy. It's going to go back into the grid. The county residents are going to get nothing from it. It's just going to right into the grid. We're not going to see a discount on it. Because we're close to it, we're not going to save, $1 per kilowatt or whatever the math is. So the big concern is that who's going to decommission? Who's going to tear it all down when it's over? Okay. they've already shut down major ones in Nevada and California. They're killing them. There's one that's actually getting shut down because it's ineffective. It's the largest one in the state of California. It's huge. They're closing it because it's not cost effective for them. And so the other concerns we have is if this does go through, there's probably going to be a major change in the electoral cycle. So, I'll do what I can to make sure whoever votes this through doesn't have a job next year. Okay? So I've said my piece, and I'm sure we've got some other people that will concur. Thank you.
I'm Linda Stevens, and I'm the one who's been sending you all text. Good morning to you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And so I thank Randy Marcum, our judge, and Terry Waddell from First District, and Nikki Garner from the Second, and Zach Wilson. Zach, I don't know you, but I'd like to. Steve Richardson from our 4th District, and Larry Skaggs from our 5th District. And I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I've lived in Russell County for many years. I'm not going to tell you how many because I don't want you to know how old I am. But I've been around for a while. Russell County is home. I'm a native Kentuckian and very proud of it. There's nowhere else I want to live except Russell County, Kentucky. I had the privilege of working a wonderful job. I was hired by the University of Kentucky, the College of Agriculture.
It's all right.
Is that your?
It's okay.
The College of Agriculture, the Cooperative Extension Service, and I worked in our Russell County office for many, many years, and it was a great job. So I just want to share some thoughts today with you. You all are aware that many companies have mission statements for their purpose. In the Extension Service, we even crafted a mission statement. So we had a goal and our purpose and things like that. And lots of times these are displayed on office walls and in the annual report, and companies will put them on their stationery. Many solar companies probably have mission statements, and I'd say that they are all probably very similar. And their mission statements read like this, or could read like this. Do all the harm that you can in every way that you can. Do all the harm that you can to all the people that you can. Do all the harm that you can in every place that you can. And do all the harm you can for as long as you can. So let's take a little look to see how solar companies are fulfilling their mission statement. We've got a good example right here in Russell County. Do all the harm that you can in every way that you can. There is no good in this. The liability for taxpayers, our taxes will go up, our utility costs will go up. It's going to impact agribusiness and small businesses. We've already heard that it destroys the environment. It's going to hurt property values. Solar is unreliable. The percentage was given. I think it's even less than the percentage that John gave. We don't make much solar in Russell County. And then there's already been talk about the battery, the big, huge batteries out there. They're toxic and they catch on fire. Do all the harm to all the people that you can. Let's think about who that's going to harm. Landowners, our farmers, agribusiness, homeowners, small business owners, families and children, and taxpayers. Did I leave anybody out? Do all the harm that you can in every place that you can. solar companies, industrial solar companies, target small rural counties because we are not that familiar with industrial solar, and we are unaware of the damage that they cause. And they kind of come in here under the radar. None of us knew anything about it. I wasn't even aware that the first part had actually gone through. I read the newspaper, I read other things, I listen to local radio stations, on and on and on. And a lot of our local officials, I don't think, were that familiar with industrial solar. So we're probably pretty easy to convince and get approval from. Do all the harm that you can for as long as you can. The effects of industrial solar have already been mentioned, of the solar panels. And I think it's kind of ironic, don't you all, that these are solar parks and they're solar farms. Have you all heard that? I think that's kind of ironic that they are named that. But we've already heard about the time here. And the effects of these solar parks are going to be here long after most of us are dead and gone, but they're going to be here. So it's your children, your grandchildren, and maybe some of your great-grandchildren, if they still hang around here, will get to deal with this. The land's not going to be useful for agriculture. Chemicals and toxins are going to be around. They cut down trees. There were several hundred trees cut down on the Mount Olive project. Now, maybe they put up a few out there, I don't know, but several hundred. Why don't other trees that were cut down, destroyed? Those will never be replaced, folks, not in our lifetime. Again, maybe your great-great-grandchild might see something like that. So our environment around here is going to be affected for years. So solar companies fulfill their mission statement very well. They harm the land, the environment, and they're very destructive. A solar company, an industrial solar company, does nothing good for our county and its people. Nothing. Companies like industrial solar destroy the property, harm the people, should not be allowed to do business in our county. It's not right, folks. It's just basically, it's not right. And you all know it. I'm not telling you anything that you all don't know, that we don't know. But it's not right. It's wrong to treat our county and its people that way. These are your constituents. These are your neighbors. These are our family. It's not right. It's wrong. So, county magistrates should serve, anybody in public office should serve the people in their district and in our county, countywide. Decisions made by magistrates in the fiscal court should represent the interests of their district and also the county. We're all in this together. What happens in District 4, in Steve's area, affects us in District 2. It affects the others, 1, 3, and 5. What happens in District 2 affects 4, 5, 1, and 3. We're not in this singly. We're in this together. It's our county. So it hurts all of us when something like this happens. Jesus gave us 2 commandments. The first one, he said, we are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And the second one is like it. We're to love our neighbor as ourselves. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I think a whole lot of Linda Stevens. I've been around her for years. And I make sure she's got enough food, enough clothes, enough gas in that car, so that she can go down to Esto and eat 4 or 5 times a week. That she can pay her bills and have a little bit of money left over. So I take care of Linda Stevens. The Bible says that I'm supposed to take as good a care of my neighbors, you all, as I take care of Linda Stevens. Now, I struggle with that a little bit, but that's what the Bible says. That's what we're supposed to do. So our decisions need to be based on that. Based on that. Is this good for my county? Is this good for my district? Is this good for the people that I live with? I don't live out there in Mount Olive. I live over here in the suburbs of Esto. But what goes on out there affects me, concerns me and my neighbors. It's not right. It's not right. So there's an ordinance coming up, and this is an opportunity to love your neighbor as yourself, your constituents, and to restrict and hopefully one day stop industrial solar from being in our county. So I'm asking you folks today to love your neighbor, to love me down in the Esto community, and all these other folks back here in all your different magisterial districts, and take care of us, and treat us good like you treat yourself. So I thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate this time, and I appreciate those of you that replied to my text. Thank you all.
Mr. County Judge, members of the Fiscal Court, my name is Jim DeMoss, and my property, my home, borders to the Sano Mount Olive solar farm that's actually coming in. With the addition of this other solar farm that's wanting to come in, it's going to be coming in the front side of ours. So we're going to be surrounded by it. As I come home, any which way I come home, I'm going to be passing nothing but solar panels. I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you that I oppose this, and I hope that you will oppose it as well. I understand that my neighbors have a right to do what they want to do in their farm, and and I respect that. And just as I would want someone to respect what I would want to do with my farm, but when it affects my peace, my quiet, my environment, and also my way of living, I just don't think that it's very good for for myself and for my neighbors. I can speak, I think, for all my neighbors. I've met with my neighbors already, and they're opposed to it as well. If I wanted to have a pig farm, and if I had 100 acres and I wanted to start a pig farm, I could. I don't think I have to get permission. I'm in the agriculture area, and if I wanted to start a pig farm, don't you think that if you live next door to me or neighbor, whether a couple, mile away or 2 miles away, it would affect you, would it not? Well, this is affecting me and my family and my property. And, you have that right, but also we have a right to peace. We have a right to quietness. We have a right to harmony. We have this right. And I just ask you to respect that. I guarantee it, if I was to start this pig farm, that you guys would be up here, right here, saying that, we don't want this pig farm here. We don't want to have to smell it. We don't want to have to see it. We don't want to have to go past it. We don't want it either. And I just want to ask you, as this dear lady said, it's do unto others as you'd have done unto you. It's the golden rule of life. And I want to ask you, if I was to have this pig farm, would you not? You don't have to answer out loud. I know what you're going to say. You're not going to want it. And we don't want this in our neighborhood either. We already have what's coming in. They came in, 4 or 5 years ago under the radar of COVID, and I didn't participate in it because COVID was one of the worst things that, in modern history that's ever happened. I didn't dare go to them. We couldn't even have meetings or anything like that. But I feel like, I've been bamboozled, if you will, with the solar farm that they're already putting in. And I just want to ask you to please, please consider your neighbors and your fellow Russell Countyans that, we don't want it here. And I just hope and respect that you guys will please look out after us and honor our wishes. Thank you for this opportunity.
Good morning, Judge and magistrates. Don't know that there's anything left for me to say or to add. And these folks have done a fine job here presenting their concerns. Appreciate this opportunity to speak to you. I come to you as a local farmer, as an ag business owner. I don't come to you lightly because this is a serious matter. After careful consideration and prayer, with respect to all landowners, do I stand before you. I stand in opposition to these solar parks or farms as she referenced them. And I stand in opposition to that, I'm sure, with some risk to the opposing side. But as I ask myself, as I debated on these issues, and I asked myself, is the future of our community, is the safety of our local elementary school that is actually just 1 mile exactly from the start of one parcel of land with 595 kids in it, as I understand as of today. My neighbors' property values, their peace and the contentment to live in their homes and enjoy their lives. Is it worth the risk that I might lose as a business owner? And I have to say, yes, it is. I respect my neighbors and friends that has looked into this, that has maybe already signed agreements, that may be thinking about it. I respect them. Many of them I've known my whole life. I've lived on Bottoms Road all my life until about 1.5 years ago. Stevie's losing me and Mickey's gaining me. My wife's from the lower end of the county, and we've moved to where her family's from. So this has weighed heavily on me. And, I can tell you as concerns as an agribusiness owner that things that how it may affect me. I can stand here and say that I depend on farmers from our local area to support my business, and folks that have moved here like this gentleman to enjoy the rural lifestyle. I depend on them to support my business. We support our farmers by also purchasing grain from local farmers in our county and surrounding counties, which makes that land valuable to supply the needs. We purchase all the grain that we can that we use in our mill locally. This year, I had to reach out as far as Hodgensville to finish out the year to get to new crop. So acreage is important. So the loss of acres is a continued challenge, just as it is the loss of farmers. That challenge is not going to go away. It's always going to be there. It comes at us from all angles. It comes at us from life itself. Our farmers are getting older. So it's harder to hold on. But I don't come to you today for how this affects me and how it affects my business. Because if I just have told you, I've moved from Bottoms Road, from Stevie's district, into Mickey's. I per se ain't gonna see it in my front door today, but what about the future? I had a hard time speaking out to say that someone shouldn't be able to do what they want with their land, because I want to be able to do what I want with mine. But when we consider taking agriculture land and turn it into an industrial enterprise, then we got to consider ordinances. We got to consider restrictions. And as the dear sister has done brought up scripture, in my deciding this, and with prayer, I turn to 1 Corinthians 10, 23 and 24. And I'm going to read it. My wife wrote it out for me last night to where I wouldn't mess it up. But 23 says, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. 24, let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. So I come here with no ill will toward anyone that has pursued this interest. But just as she said, just because it's legal don't mean it's right. I can say that without hypocrisy, because I also have a tract of land remaining on Bottoms Road that joins one neighbor that's interested across from another neighbor that is interested in this. They needed passage with a utility easement across me. I was approached and I was brought in, one landowner brought in a representative from Solar. Very respectful young man. The landowner very respectful and talked to me. And I wasn't interested. I told him that I didn't believe in the system. I didn't believe it was efficient. I believe it was a waste of federal taxpayer dollars. I don't believe we'd be here today if it wasn't for the federal subsidies. With that, I considered and listened to what they had to say. I was not interested. I was told that I was passing up a really good opportunity and that I would not stop this from happening, that they could go around me. And my reply was, you're correct, and you may, but I don't have to participate. And so I don't stand here not have already turning down opportunity myself. And my concern, even though I've done moved, my concern is my family. My mom and dad lived their whole life there. My sister bought my house and she's moved into it. Her house was sold to a young lady, young mother, single mom with a little child, and she's directly facing one of these farms. Is the equity of her home that she had to pay in purchasing that home, is it worth a deduction today if we let this go through without some type of ordinance and protection for her? What do we do to her? What do we do to my other friends and neighbors and family members? You know, there's a lot of unknowns. I'm not as well versed. I've come to the game late. As the gentleman said, I didn't get involved 5 or 6 years ago. I can't tell you all the problems with batteries and the harms to the environment and the things. I've read some things and I've looked at it. I'm not educated to speak on that. There's others that are. I know some of these leases has been 40-year leases. I'm 46 years old. With the exception of maybe Zach, would be close. Everybody in front of me may be older than me. If we add 40 years to my number, that makes me 86. I don't know, I may not be here at 86. The Bible says a man's life is 70. By reason of other things, we can lengthen it or we can shorten it. So do we know about the messes? Do we know these things change hands? Mount Olive's done changed 2 or 3 times. Do we know who's going to end up with this? Will it be foreign owned? Will it be the Chinese? Who will it be? Who will be our neighbors with these things? How will they respect our land? Will there be bankruptcies? Will be left to clean that up? The visual appearance, the environmental issues, the battery fires, all those is things that I don't know enough about. And all those things are the reason we need ordinances with meat in them, no loopholes, to protect the community, and our county. We're a tourism county. This ain't just about today, because within 6 years we went from 1 solar farm to possibly 2. What will we be like in another 10 years? You know, if the money is there, of course right now some of it's been suspended, but if the money gets put back into the pot, will there be more? How will we change our landscape? And so I leave you, and she's done read it, but I'll leave you. There's an account in Matthew, there's an account in Mark, and there's an account of Luke of what this lady just read. But I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to leave you with this. In Matthew 22:37, Jesus said unto him, this was the law you're asking him about the commandments. Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbors thyself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So I say to you, we've got to protect our neighbors. I'm not here about my business today. I'm not here because I'm living over there going to have to continually look at it. I'm here out of respect to my neighbors that needed somebody to take a stand, and it's the right thing to do. And I ask you all to take a stand and protect them. No ill will toward anyone that wanted to go this direction with these solar farms. But the larger question here today is the masses of people that will it affect. I thank you and I appreciate your time.
Morning, everyone. I don't know if anybody here has ever been involved in any kind of chemical fire, lived around it or anything, but like somebody said, we have a school that's a mile away from there. I lived in Georgia for about 40 years. I moved from here, left my hometown, recently came back. When I sold my house, I lost over $100,000 because there was a battery plant for lithium batteries right above me, which caught on fire in a section, a storage section. We had to evacuate for 20-something miles. The smoke was unbearable. What would we do with those kids? Where would we move those kids? How quick can we move them? How are you going to put it out? At least in that area, they did have the foam to put the fires out with, but it still took over 15 hours to contain it. 15 hours. Where are we going to take these people that can't go? We have people with breathing problems here, health issues. Some have their own transportation, some don't. So what are we going to do with them? How can we handle that? And then you have the leaching of the materials from the batteries. It may happen in a year. It may be 10 or 15 years. You may not see it, but it's very bad. My water system on my home was damaged due to some of this stuff. I couldn't even hardly sell my house. I had people knocking the doors down for it before all this started. When I put it on the market, I took a $100,000 loss just off of my market price, which put it down about $250,000 to what it was prior to all that going in. So it keeps going down and down and down. I don't want to lose any of my friends here. I come back home for a reason. I love this place. It's pretty. You have the lake. What's it going to do to our lake water? Eventually, if it spreads down that far, how are we going to contain it? Keep it out of the lakes, because once it gets started, it's going to keep going. You know, and I just can't see damaging something that's been here for so many years and so beautiful to come to. Your wildlife leaves, damage your lakes and stuff, your ponds around people's homes. It's not worth it to me. Is it worth it to you or your grandkids or your children to damage something that has been so beautiful? Think about that. Thank you.
Hey, Judge.
Hey,
How y'all
we kinda
doing?
went over,
Do it.
but try to keep it short if you can. We've tried to went over on time, but
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to come up here and go over a few things, what our group, obviously our group is the folks sitting here behind me. And we're asking for, like we did 5 years ago, we're asking for a ordinance to limit some of the onslaught of this solar and some of these renewable energy projects. And I just wanted to touch base on a few things to kind of tell how we got here. 5-6 years ago, during the approval process of the Mount Olive Creek Solar Project, obviously with this going in adjoining property of mine, I was concerned. And I had some friends that lived in central Indiana who invited me to come see their county, where they had 55,000 acres gone to solar companies. There's some counties in Indiana that have lost 80,000 acres to solar companies. And when I went up there to see for myself what it looked like, it's damaging to what this does to local communities. It hollows out local communities. It forces people to leave the community. And these projects are like a cancer. And that's the only way I can describe it. When they get started, right now I know we've got the second one being proposed here in the county, but there's also 2 or 3 others that are trying to get in the county, and they're looking at land to grab. And what I learned is these folks are using federal tax dollars to artificially inflate the real estate market so people like you and me can't buy property. If your property's worth $500,000 and then you got a solar company coming in and offering you $1.5 million, everyday people like us can't get a hold of the land. And it makes land leases harder, it makes farming harder, and it makes any growth in the county a lot harder to achieve because people can't get the land. And that's a big concern for me, is these out-of-state and foreign companies using federal tax dollars to get a hold of our land. And then they come to the county and they try to get the county to help fund their destruction of the land. And that's where I told you guys this is like a cancer. It affects our agriculture, it affects our real estate, and obviously it affects small business. There's several small businesses out in the St. Mount Olive area that are at risk of closing because of these solar projects. And then it affects property values. I'm sure that the solar company would tell you that it doesn't. The Mount Olive Creek project told me that my property values would actually go up. But the interesting thing is all the studies that they cite are ones they funded. But if you look at independent studies, it's quick to show that these solar farms do in fact hurt property values. They kill wildlife and they ruin our rural landscape. These solar panels are toxic, and the battery systems are toxic. They can leach toxic chemicals out into the ground. They create unnecessary liabilities to the taxpayer. And I've got several folks here in the group tonight that chose to move to Russell County, some from California, some from New Jersey. We've got people from the West Coast here in the group that have moved to Russell County, and they can tell you all you want to know about solar and what it's done out west. And that's the reason these folks are moving to this place, is to get away from these types of projects and these crazy policies. And I think that what most people in my group, kind of hope for is small government, small business, and we're a community built on Protestant Christian values, and we all have conservative values that we hope to maintain. And now we're celebrating 200 years here in the county, and it's just kind of like the Laker country did a video a couple weeks ago, and at the end of the video, celebrating the bicentennial, Jeff Hoover said, we're committed to conserving our heritage. This community is committed to conserving our heritage. And these solar projects do the complete opposite of that. And where we are now at 200 years, I just don't want to take a step back 100 years because of these solar projects. And so I'm asking for you guys to, be in favor of an ordinance and looking into putting an ordinance into effect that protects landowners, the environment, and the community as a whole. Okay.
All right, since we have,
We'll take just a minute. I know almost all of you here and been around for quite a while. A couple of things that has not been brought up that is something they're putting a panel in around my house across the road from me, already in operation. A couple of things. We were told that local people would be doing all of the work to get this ready. So far, to my knowledge, all of the dirt work and everything that's been done has not been local, it's been out of state. They recently took and seeded it, mowed it again. The people that's doing that are not local, they're out of state, or out of county, in another county. So if you all think you're gonna get a lot of money and income from that, you're probably not. Okay. The other thing too that I'll mention, that people are dealing with a company now. In a few years, you're not going to be dealing with the same company. The attorney for the project that's in front of my home there is out of Lexington. I've talked to him, he's really a nice fellow. He tells me what these companies do is they take and they get them up, and they get them going in 2 to 3 years, and then the next thing you know, they're bought by Google or bought by some big company or some big power company. So can you imagine Russell County, and I have nothing against our officials and our attorney and our legal people, but when you get to dealing with those people in these large companies, corporations, what happens if something happens to the panels? What if you have damage to the panels? Who's going to keep them up? Are you going to be able to call Google or one of the big companies and say, hey, I need you to come down and fix this? Who's going to do that? Who's going to have the control over that? And I know my wife, we were talking the other day, and she was looking through the internet, and one of the projects one of the states, counties in northwestern Kentucky has denied they're not putting any solar panels, any solar parks, farms, whatever you want to call them, in because of the damage that was done and the people not wanting it. Now, don't ask me the company because I forgot. And she'll say, you just like everything else, you didn't listen to me, so you'll probably know how that is. But anyway, you've got one area there that's in front of my home that's going to be close to 500 acres. And you put another one in there, 400 acres, you're going to have close to 1,000 acres that's in this that nothing is going to be able to do to it. It's going to affect your environment, it's going to affect your people, it's going to affect your monies, it's going to affect the water supply. All of this is going to be affected, because all of that from that area runs right down into Russell Creek and goes all into Dare County. So anyway, this is something that you really need to consider, and I appreciate your all's time. Thank you.
thank you. So to be fair, Ben Levy is here with the solar company, so he's getting a little time here to talk about his project.
Judge, magistrates, hi. Thank you so much for having me. My name's Ben Levy. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. My name's Ben Levy. I represent Brown Trip Energy. I'm our executive director and head of development and engineering. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the solar project. I think what's happened a little bit is you're hearing, before you get a sort of a proper introduction and overview, you're hearing some sort of issues, some questions. So I was hoping I could take just a minute or two to tell you a little bit about a solar project that we are developing in Russell County. It's near 1729 and Old Sano. The plan for the project is to connect into a East Kentucky Power substation that's near there called Sultan Junction. The project is going to be in the neighborhood of 60 megawatts. It's going to have up to 20 megawatts of batteries. The project is going to be occupying 450 acres of land. The project is going to be going through a full-blown permitting process State of Kentucky Siting Board. It's a very extensive review process that addresses a lot of environmental and safety and planning and types of aspects and beyond that, actually. This is a project that we have actually been developing over the last 4 or 5 years. And over that time, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people in the county. There are, believe it or not, a lot of supporters of the project. We believe that this project is something that will be a net benefit to the county. It will also be a net benefit to the community and the neighbors nearby. I just want to talk very briefly about some of the benefits of the project. So the project's probably main benefit is it should increase tax revenue for the county pretty significantly. Based on the calculation of the millage rate, the all-in millage rate between the county's services and the schools, I believe it's around $96 per hundred. If you multiply that times the estimated construction cost of $50 to $100 million, you end up in the neighborhood of around, by our estimate, $500,000 per year. So a project that has a 25 to 40-year lifetime is something that could contribute, I think I have to do the math a little bit better, between $10 and $20 million over just that period of its lifetime to the county. These benefits, I don't know exactly how they are used, but I understand that this revenue can benefit people across the entire community, small businesses, and neighbors. Secondly, job creation. We expect that there will be more than 200 people that work on this project, and we have a goal to utilize local contractors and local labor from this region. That is during the construction period, and then after the construction period, there will be ongoing operations and maintenance. And we expect that at least 15 or more people will be involved in the operations and maintenance of this facility for the long term. We believe this will stimulate jobs and stimulate the economy along with the tax revenue I mentioned earlier. Some of the other benefits are that we will be giving direct support to the community, and that this project will ultimately create stability to power pricing and to the grid itself. Okay, so that's just wanted to kind of give this sort of high level about the project so that you can understand that there are some of the benefits. The main thing that I would like to do today, besides sort of introduce myself to the magistrates that I haven't met already, and to give this little introduction to the project, is to let the fiscal court know that we have begun a process of reaching out to the community. We are in a pre-design stage right now. Meaning that we would like to engage with the community and the fiscal court itself and listen to feedback, listen to concerns from from these one specific landowner's view shed to something that's more global, like in the region and the community. Everything from these environmental questions, the health and the safety, and even the question about financial impact. So we are starting this community engagement campaign, and so today is just part of it as well. We're specifically here because we understand that there are people with concerns questions about this. And we would like the opportunity, and we're proposing the opportunity to everybody, that we would like the opportunity to engage with people directly, identify your concerns, your complaints, the issues that you might have, and create a direct feedback loop with members of the community. All of the questions that we've heard, the comments that we've heard people say today, I'm taking notes, and I've begun to gather some additional comments that we heard from the first community engagement meeting. And we have specific answers that can address every single one of these questions. I can't promise it's going to completely satisfy you, but it will be something that, for the most part, addresses environmental concerns, safety concerns, health concerns, and I think we have a couple other buckets. View shed concerns, agricultural land loss, decommissioning, noise. So these are kind of the higher level, categories of questions that people have. We propose to engage directly with members of the community, fiscal court, and have direct written or oral feedback for each one of these questions, and we plan to address them fully, and to have transparency with this. We believe that ultimately, if we can have the opportunity to address concerns, we can get members of the community to understand that the bads aren't so bad. They can basically be addressed. And then they'll have an opportunity, especially if we can, do a little bit of a better job articulating the benefits and nailing them down specifically. We think that we can get a lot of members of the community to understand that this is actually a net benefit to the community with very minimal negative impact. So that's essentially the second thing that I really want to leave you all with, is that we are really committed to working with the court and the members of the community to address specific or sort of global concerns, and we're looking forward to doing that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm not as good of a public speaker as a lot of the folks that came before me. Don't mark that against me, or against Round Trip Energy. We're really looking forward to working with the county. We think that this project will be run through the ringer on its review process on various different levels, and we look forward to continuing engagement with the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have one question for you, Ben. When are you leaving town? We can help you.
You got, we're gonna stop the public speaking now here and let the magistrates have some discussion.
I want to, Brian and Mr. Ball, they was right. Us as a fiscal court cannot tell a farmer what to do with their land. And we don't have that authority. But I'm 100% in favor of putting an ordinance in with that stay so far from the property line. And I think the max of the state, what is it, 2,000?
And one of the things that I've done some research, and I've actually gotten sent a bunch of stuff and talked to some judges that's in Kentucky. You can't stop it. I mean, the law's on their side. They can come. Property owners can do what they want with their property. So the only thing we really can do is deal with the setbacks, and that comes back to us doing an ordinance for a setback. And then the Public Service Commission can't override our ordinance, but they can override the state rule, which is like 2,000 feet. But like your one that's already here, there's nothing that can be done. It's went through final stages. Ben's timing's probably bad for him because he should have been here before, because it was during COVID, and I went back and watched some of that video of some of those hearings, and it was all done during COVID, so everything was Zoom, so you didn't have the outpouring from the public that got involved as you did then. So it's a little different time.
But we don't have, they don't have to ask us anything about these solar farms. just like over on, I call it Bottom Road. First time I know that was, and I read it in the paper, and then everybody else must have read it too, because I started getting phone calls. You know, so, I mean, this is not something that has to go through us to happen. But the only thing that I'm aware of that we could do is put this ordinance in where they stay so far off the line. I mean, that's, as far as I know, that's the only thing the federal court can do.
And include the roadways?
Right.
Yes.
And waterways.
Yes.
Can I say something?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm a firm believer, if something ain't broke, don't go try to fix it. As far as I know, everybody in here has electricity. And personally, I don't like this idea. I won't stutter to tell you that I'm against it. I'm gonna take care of my people. These people, I call you foreigners for lack of a better way to describe it. It's not that you're really a foreigner, but these are the people I live with, that I love, that I've been here for years with. I'm gonna listen to them. And with that being said, I want every restriction that we can legally, I want to stay legal with it, put on. I'm gonna vote, put every restriction we can on it.
So from case history that I found so far, that we can't, like I said, we can't do anything about that Sano project. It went through, it's final, it's done. There's a Caldwell County that I think Mr. Tiller back there sent me, and I think I sent it over. No, came from the Keiko attorney. You have to, they tried, even though we're against it, you can't go back and, you can take them to court too and say they got to stay off, but legally, we can't, because it's already some case study on that's been done. They had to grandfather in the two that was already in their county, but they put restrictions. And I came out of the farming world, and I'm gonna tell you, if I went to lease land all the time in different states, and if you go back and tell me I can't use this, I want to know what's my farmable acres, and no different than I'm sure they do. But when you go in and take 2,000 feet out all the way around, it makes a difference. And from what I understand, I don't think the Public Service Commission can overrule ours, but they can overrule the state one. And that's why you've got 150-foot range on the Sano project instead of 2,000, because they overruled and set it at 150 feet. So, sorry about that. I wasn't here when that happened, but it got slid through.
Thank you for the apology.
I wasn't the judge then, but, you know, but we can't do anything about that.
The judge that had it at the time he has land leased to this company. That's the judge that was in there at the time. So I think that should have been recited. He should not, there should be a conflict of interest.
And let's don't get into,
We can move forward and make the best decision today.
Could I make a motion
You can.
to make that ordinance say back, or have?
So you making, Larry make a motion? You
I'll
second
make a
motion?
motion.
I'll second.
And we'll do the first reading, and we may,
For how
Can you
much,
get it prepped?
how much footage?
2,000. If that's legal, that's what we want.
Including roadways and waterways.
Yep.
Yeah, and, you know, and I know we've talked a little bit, Brandon, but also in that ordinance, something that would be good to include would be, you know, how many acres of our county do we want to allow go to these solar projects and wind projects? You know, I mean, I know the setbacks is good, but I think we need to have a provision in there that limits, at least have some limitation on total.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be more difficult to do, wouldn't it,
I don't know, I
Kevin?
mean, Kevin,
Well, I mean, you're restricting it, I mean, if you're restricting it to 2,000, I think if you all want to, you know, you can at least have it in there. There's no reason not to, if that's what you choose to do.
We can do that, and it's legal.
Sure.
I just want to get tried in court. And then
Folks, it's legal until they
say it.
till they say it didn't. So, I mean, you know, those are the things. There's a lot of other things that could be done. You mentioned that, you know, I mean, it would be good that somebody, a couple of you, you know, meet with me and talk about what you want to make sure that it's in. I mean, I can provide you a blanket one, but I'm not sure it addresses everything that you all want, but we can do that, absolutely.
So on the wind thing, I think the state of Kentucky's like 49th on the list, or 48th or something, so it's probably gonna be a while for that to ever be brought up again. I'd rather fight this fight now than go there, because I don't think we got that to worry about.
Well, I just appreciate your guys' attention to this today, and I just want to give a special thanks to the community for showing up on behalf of this. We've got 850 petition signatures, and 790 of them are out of Russell County, and then the rest are out of the Harris County. I think that speaks loud and clear for what the people want in the community, and I appreciate you guys representing us on that.
And that's just a week.
Yeah, that's just a week.
That's just
We've had
a
that
week.
petition for a week. So.
Well, I have a motion on the floor. I need to take a vote. How about that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Unanimous. Yeah, as you know, there'll still have to be 2 readings. We'll have to read the ordinance when the county attorney gets it drawn up, and then we won't vote then. We'll read the ordinance, and then we'll do the legal advertisement and stuff that we have to do by law, and then we'll do the second reading, and then have to take a vote.
Well, we can have a call meeting.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can, for sure. Okay. Yes, sir. Real quick.
What kind of taxes will they have to pay? I know it's classed as a farm, but are they gonna have to pay industrial tax?
That's out of our deal. And here's the thing, we talk about taxes and what it brings. As far as the county, we get 0.064 cents per hundred. We get less than $1 million on property tax now, but everybody tells me they pay taxes, and I do too. But it doesn't come to us. So, there's other taxing entities. The state gets a lot of it. I mean, the school gets the biggest one, and the state gets the second largest portion of the tax. So we don't see a lot of that. But anyway. Yes, sir.
I just had the question, I understand you can't tell the farmer what he can do with his land and all that. Is there anything that says the county has to put up the bonds and stuff for it? I know it's like on the one at Mount Olive, the county had sold bonds, and even on the agreement, it actually states in it that the county actually owns the project.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Do you, Kevin? You know what the deal is? There's an industrial bond or something. I was asked that
They
question.
don't have to approve it, no, sir.
So that's just, you know.
Sure,
we can't
that
tell them
would be,
what to do,
that would
but
be
we
a
don't have
choice.
to pay
Yeah,
for it.
that would be a choice.
Dick?
We had a rendering plant that wasn't far from the school over there, and they got to having problems with it and considered it a hazard, and they made them do away with that.
A hazard or a nuisance. I mean, even trash is a nuisance, so we
Well,
can,
with this and having the problems that it may be happen very often or unfrequent, but could it be considered a hazard if that was to burn or catch up? They say that from what I've read, those can burn for weeks, put up all this toxic gas, it's gonna go right into the school because you're not that far from the school from where that's at. So would that be an option that you would have?
depends on who's got the most money.
Well, I think honestly, that would, what I'm hearing everybody say, they don't want it to go that far. So I think for that to be proved up, then it would actually have to happen, and nobody wants that. But yes, I mean, I'm sure there could be a nuisance ordinance amended to include those type of concerns. Yeah.
All right. So, next on the agenda is pre-approve to pay the rescue squad grant dollars when received. We're told that we're going to get a grant for the rescue squad, and I just need the court to approve that. Motion made by Magistrate Richardson, second by Magistrate Skaggs. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Set the Halloween hours, and I think that's been from 5 to 8, correct? So 5 to 8 on the 31st. Is everybody okay with that? Make that motion. Second by Stewart. Magistrate Richardson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, what's that? Road change?
Road change.
Other business?
Irene not Lloyd, I'm sorry. Irene Lane is the new road. Its residents are wanting to, this road to be taken into the county road system. It is .112 mile in length, and it's in District 2.
All those in favor? Who said? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay. We need to go into executive session.
I need an executive session post to discuss litigation purposes, if we could.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Let's go back.
I'll have to get a hat.
Yeah, I need a motion to come out of executive session made by Magistrate Garner, seconded by Magistrate Richardson. No action taken. That it? You got the road? I think you just did that, right? You already voted on that? Yeah, okay. Next. All right, I've got, in other business, I've got one person that asked to speak, David Hare.
Good morning. I think it's still morning. Yeah, close.
Yeah, for a little while.
My name's David Hare. I'm here to talk about the decision y'all made to close the transfer station on Saturdays. I've been a county resident, well, I've lived in the county my entire life for 62 and a half years. I made many trips. I remember the first trip I made to the landfill was first week in June in 1979. I bought an old truck that had trash in it and I had to take it. That's back when they was burying the trash in there. You know, you dump it on the ground, they go cover it every day with about a foot of dirt and stuff. But now y'all decided to close on Saturdays. Saturdays for here is a lot of people, only opportunity they had to take their trash out there. You have people that work, a lot of our county people work out of the county through the week, so they got Saturday. You got a lot of people who live out of the county who have property here and stuff to take the trash on weekends. It may not be the busiest day of the week, but there are people to utilize it through the week. I understand that whenever I found out this, I contacted all the magistrates except for we had phone issues and I couldn't ever get to you. None of them knew anything about it at the time. Okay, I will say that of all the years that I've been going there and dumping, it looks the best now that it ever has.
Yes.
I have talked to several people, even before this decision. I talked to people, oh, you been to landfill lately? Yeah. Said, they got me unloaded before I get out of the truck sometimes. The whole property looks clean. You've done a lot of maintenance on the property. You've done a lot of maintenance on just everything in there. And I don't think you can get much better than that. I mean, it's great over there. But closing on Saturdays, to me, is not a good thing. I think the county is one of their objectives is to provide services for the people and not cut services back. I understand overtime may be an issue. You've got, I think Mr. Johnson takes care of it, having to work Saturdays through the week and on Saturdays. Surely you've got somebody, now if I understand this morning, somebody from the road department takes care of it when he's not there. If you kept it open, all you would have to do is let them two people rotate the Saturdays out and take off one day through the week. Would leave it open and be no overtime. And then also this morning I heard you may consider leaving it part of the weekends. So I don't know. I just want to let you know it is used. A lot of people use it, and it would be bad if people started going back and couldn't get to the dump and start dumping illegal dump sites again. We made progress several years ago and cleaned up, I don't know how many dump sites, illegal dump sites. Made progress. Our county looks a lot better. But without a place to dump it, they can get to it, trash will be piled up in neighborhoods, more illegal dump sites go on. We don't want that in our county.
We don't have a problem with that. The people that's gonna do that don't wanna pay to go dump it anyway, so they don't even show up. They just dump it illegally. And then before, there was more days they were closed than they were open. That's one of the reasons that we took it over. And it was strictly business. If you go in and there's weekends that on a Saturday, you're gonna make $15, it goes back, it's set up for taxpayers, but is it fair for all the other taxpayers to pay because one or two people wanna go there on Saturday? Even if you get a flat tire over there, there's not even a place in Russell County now that can fix your tire because they're all closed. We're gonna go back to do it 2 Saturdays a month, the first and the third Saturday. It's already been put out there. But it's not a cost-effective thing. And then even talking to Mitchell Morgan, he wanted to close it on Saturdays. He just said he couldn't close it on Saturdays because he had a contract with the county that had those hours in there. But there is a few people that use it, but it's less than you think that uses it, you know. So it's if it's your business, I promise you wouldn't have it open. But we're going to go back to doing it first and third. So
Well, everything we do in the county is not profitable all the time.
It's not.
We know that.
It's not.
But to take services away from people is not good business. But I appreciate the 2 Saturdays is probably better than none.
We're going to look at it and see how it works, you know, and it's already fell off a lot just because you've lost the lake traffic and people come in on the weekends and go take their trash up there, but it's not very good at all.
I mean,
And
wintertime months, I'm sorry for that. Wintertime months may be something different, but sometime I think it needs to be from April to.
We're going to take a look at it. A lot of people just wait and save it all, and when we have free dump day, they all come, so.
That's true.
We unload trash for all day, as hard as you can unload trash.
It would be nice if we had a place just to put the tires and we wouldn't have to have a tar day. We can do all that.
We have to depend on the state to do that, and that's what, every 2 years or whatever, we can't do it with them, so.
But it does look better over there, but I just don't think closing it is good on Saturday, so.
The physical court agreed to take it over to keep another company from coming in, because if you go, I don't even know if Adair County is open on Saturdays. If they are, these other counties have waste management in them. And so they dictate, because you sign a franchise with them and they'll tell you when they're gonna do it, what they're gonna do, and whose trash they're gonna pick up and stuff, and we didn't want that. So that's why we have tried to make it work. But it's gotta be cost effective for everybody.
I mean, I appreciate y'all looking into it and going back to 2 days a week, because I know a lot of people was upset with it and stuff, and maybe we can do something that summertime months when people are out cleaning it, we can have it open.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and see how well it does. And maybe I'll just set up a dumpster over there if the same ones that come on Saturday and just let them do it for free. But everybody else that come in, you know what I'm saying?
It wouldn't be profitable then, and then you may have.
Everybody come, but.
It wouldn't be very profitable then, and then you may have more troubles of cleaning the mess up.
But if the ones that are coming now was the same ones that come, we'd probably be okay.
You know, as a matter of fact, I took the load this morning, $45 to dump the
Yeah, but it
load
ain't
this
Saturday,
morning.
it's Monday. It ain't Saturday, it's Monday.
Well, I know it, but I would have took it on a Saturday.
The difference
generally.
is you get all your commercial accounts Monday through
Monday through
Friday.
Friday.
And then you get individuals and what we get on individuals. Sometimes it's somebody with 2 bags of trash, you know, it's like I'm saying is, but if I open it up free to everybody, they'd all come on Saturday.
It's a place for them to dump 2 bags of trash and get it out of the yard or something. So, all right, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dave. Next, the only thing I've got is ABC report for September was $14,598.67. And that's it. Anybody else got anything? Motion made by Manager Garner adjourn, and second by Manager Richards. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign.
Tomorrow, it has to be tomorrow.